Hi everyone. First of all, Martin, thank you for the question. It's a really good question. And the question that Martin has asked is, and he put it up in the WhatsApp group, the transistor in the diagram has a current gain, which is known as beta, of 200 and a base current of 10 microamps. What is the resistance of R1 to get a voltage of 6 volts at the collector of the transistor? So I think the first thing we need to do is we need to get a diagram going here. So we have a diagram. So we've got our 12 volt supply line, and we have got our 0 volts supply at the bottom. We have a transistor, and you should be able to tell me why that's an NPN transistor. We have our load resistor R1, which we don't know the value of. We have another resistor which we don't need to know the value of, and it is connected to the base of the transistor, and in the diagram we are told that the current, which would be IB, the base current, equals 10 microamps. The diagram also tells us that we have 6 volts out across this resistor. So in this circuit, if I was to create it now and put a voltmeter across the positive 12 to the collector of the transistor, I would measure 6 volts, but I don't know the value of this resistor. So this question is asking, to get 6 volts here, what value of resistor do I need? They've given us all the information that we need. So what information have they given us? First of all, they've given us the base current into the transistor. So I base equals 10 microamps. They have told us the gain of the transistor. Very important to know that to be able to work this out. So the beta equals 200. They've also told us that they want 6 volts here, so we're just going to write that out here. What we need to know is, and what we don't know, is the IC, which is the current at the collector. But we do know the voltage at the collector they want is 6 volts. So a couple of things we need to remember here. Going back to our intermediate theory on transistors, we know that if you want to know the collector current, so IC, that equals the beta, the gain of the transistor, multiplied by IB, the base current. So what we have to do there is we have to transpose these two values, the base current and the beta, the gain of the transistor, into our formula, and that will then give us our value. So one thing to remember is your units here. Units are important. This is not 10 amps, this is 10 microamps. So the collector current is going to be 200 multiplied by 10 microamps. Now to get this to work, you're going to need to convert that into amps. Okay? If you remember that we need to get all the units down to the same value relative to each other. You can't just take 200 and multiply it by 10. That's not going to work because this is not 10 amps. This is 10 microamps. So this value in amps is, well, 200 multiplied by 0.000. That gets us down to 1 milliamp. That gets us down to 100 microamps. 10, that's 10 microamps. So 10 microamps is 0.00001 of an amp. So we're now taking 200 multiplied by 0.00001 and we're getting a value. And when we do that, the value that we get is 0.002 of an amp. Okay? 0.002 of an amp equals 2 milliamps. Right? But we're going to keep it in our amp value because we're going over to another formula now. So the next formula we need to look at is good old Ohm's law. You learnt this at foundation. We covered it at intermediate again. It is the foundation of electronics. Good understanding of how to use it, how to apply it, how to rewrite that law to fit into your equation. We now know this answer up here that we had a question mark against. We now know that equals 0.002 amps or 2 milliamps. Ohm's law. V equals I multiplied by R. Voltage equals current multiplied by resistance. We know the voltage. We've got 6 volts here being dropped across this resistor. We now know the current. We rewrite the formula to give us the answer. So in this case, we write it R, resistance, equals voltage divided by current. And if we put the numbers in, we've got 6 volts divided by 0.002 amps. And that will equal 3,000 ohms. The answers that we have to the question, answer A is 2K, answer B is 3K, answer C is 20K, and answer D is 30K. K? What? We got ohms. We need to convert this to the units that match the question. They're talking about thousands of ohms, but they're not giving it to you as thousands of ohms. They're giving it to you as K ohms. Okay? So 3,000 ohms equals 3K ohms. So the correct answer for that question of the transistor in the diagram has a current gain beta of 200 and a base current of 10 microamps. What is the resistance of R1 to get a voltage of 6 volts at the collector? The answer is 3,000 ohms, or converting it into thousands of ohms, kilo ohms, we have 3 k ohms. So the correct answer to that question is B. Hope that helps, and hope that explains how we work that out. The big thing is your units. You can get caught out if you don't understand your units and you don't convert your units. So learn your units, know your units. Okay guys, thank you. Hope that helped.